So today's topic is quite dear to me because the moment I realized that I had a lot of baggage and trauma from my childhood is the day that I felt like my mental health issues were coming to an end. And just like many other people, I had no idea I was dealing with trauma from my childhood. And I say this because I found out through my therapist. And deep down, I knew all was not well because my mental health was not in check. I could feel it. You can feel it deep down when your mental health is not in check. And it was not until my therapist pointed it out that it was actually deep rooted in my childhood experiences. And that is why in today's video, I want to highlight a few ways in which childhood trauma can follow you into your adult life and how it influences our decisions as adults, and also how it shows up in our relationships with family, friends, and most importantly, our intimate partners. So thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Marianne's Space. So, when we talk of trauma, it occurs in many different ways, ranging from verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and even sexual abuse. And it happens when one, as a child, experiences it firsthand or witnesses it happen to a parent or someone who is close to you, like a sibling. And if a child grows up in a household where there is chaos all the time, abuse, a household which is devoid of love, it may have adverse and long-term effects on the child, and it might show up in their adult life if it is not resolved at an early age. And so the first sign to show that you might be dealing with childhood trauma is finding yourself in unhealthy or rather toxic relationships. And by relationships, I do not only mean intimate relationships, could be also friendships or tolerating toxic workplaces, bosses and colleagues, and also accepting to be treated badly by maybe your acquaintances or friends. So what happens and what makes this happen is when a child is used to abuse, it becomes familiar. The brain takes this and it familiarizes with chaos. So as they grow up, they normalize it. And so once they meet a toxic partner or a toxic friend, they'll assume this is the norm and it is the only way to survive. And it can take a toll on your mental health because living in chaos and in abusive environments for years, of course, it's not good. And it is very unhealthy. So, are you tolerating abusive relationships? Are you excusing your toxic friends? Are you normalizing living in chaos? You might want to find out whether you're dealing with childhood trauma, and please work on it as quickly as you can, because I know deep down it is not a good place to be in. It is not, and it is not good at all. And everyone deserves some peace and quiet and to live in a good and healthy environment. So if you grew up in a chaotic household, kindly find out whether you're going through childhood trauma and deal with it as soon as possible. The second thing you might want to look out for is being unable to set strong boundaries. And this usually happens if your boundaries were constantly violated and you are not given space for yourself as a child while growing up. You are not given choices. You are not allowed to have rights or say something that was pressing you. This can follow you into your adult life, where you find that you are not able to say no, or rather you allow things to press you, and you cannot say that they are pressing you because you do not want to make other people angry, or you want to please them while things are hurting you. So setting boundaries is important, and if your boundaries were violated as a child, you might find it quite hard to set them. You cannot say yes to everything in this world. You cannot agree to everything, and you cannot allow yourself to go with the flow all the time, because we have different tastes in everything. We have different values, and if your friends, or rather the people that are around you, can easily manipulate you because you can't say no, you might find yourself in very bad corners. So learn to say no, and set them boundaries, because they are very important. You need your own space. You do not need anyone telling you what to do when you know what you want to do for yourself. So set them boundaries, yes, because they are very important. They are very, very important for your mental health especially. And you need to be in charge of your own life. Another way to know that you might be dealing with childhood trauma is being passive aggressive all the time. Okay, this happens when, as a child, you're in a constant state of defending yourself from either physical abuse, verbal attacks, and even emotional abuse. And you grow up to be a very defensive person, or you have no idea of what healthy conflict resolution is. So you find yourself, when someone does not agree with you, or when you're in a conflict with someone, you resort to violence or yelling and shouting, because you got used to going around the problem instead of solving it through yelling and fighting and thinking that things will be okay, and going to an extent of even blaming others when you know that you're wrong, because you grow up in a place where there was no healthy conflict resolution. And this is not a good place to be. This is not how issues are solved. It is not normal, and it is not healthy. So if you know, or might think that this is how you handle your issues, or you're passive aggressive all the time, you might want to deal with the trauma that you went through, because you'll always find yourself in conflicts. And the worst thing that you can also do is that you will pass this to your offsprings, because if you become a parent and this is how you handle issues with everyone, you're likely to make them think that this is the norm, because kids look up to their caregivers or the adults that are around them, and it is not a good way to continue your bloodline. So kindly work on that. If you know that you are passive aggressive all the time, it is not a good place to be, but there is always a way out. I will be uploading a video of how to deal with childhood trauma. Yes, this is just highlighting how childhood trauma can follow you into your adult life, but I'm doing a series of childhood trauma, and after a few videos I will upload a video on how to deal with these issues. So kindly stay tuned, and yes, we will continue with this series, and I'm hoping that one or two people will learn from it, and it will be of help to someone. So another way to know that you might be dealing with childhood trauma is that in your adult life you realize that you have a lot of self-doubt, And this usually happens if a lot of negative talk was done to you. If you grew up being told that you cannot amount to anything, you'll find out that in your adult life, you have a lot of self-doubt, that when you want to pursue something, you sit down and ask yourself a million questions. Will I be able to do this? Will I be able to do that? No, 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 no. I can't. I will, I can't. I will, I won't. You see? It takes a toll on you, because you'll find yourself missing out on a lot of opportunities and a lot of good things in life. And it is not a good place to be. So, if you realize that you have a lot of self-doubt, you might want to know where this came from. Is it from your childhood experiences? And deal with it. It will be better for your mental health, and you'll be in a better place if you dealt with self-doubt, because it hinders you from a lot of things, a lot of good things. Everyone deserves to believe in themselves, because anyone can do anything. You can go so far without the self-doubt that was instilled in you as a child. So we can do better, and let's work on our self-doubt. We can do it. Another way you can tell that you're dealing with childhood trauma is always seeking external validation. And oh my, this one is in so many people, whereby if you grow up feeling unwanted and with little or no love from your caregivers or parents, because you felt neglected as a child. Maybe it was not their intention, they were working all the time, or maybe your parent even died and you were taken care of by other people, and you felt neglected as a child. You might find yourself seeking validation from all the wrong places by all means. And this usually happens, especially when we get to the age where we can have intimate partners, and we find ourselves sacrificing ourselves a lot just because of that small compliment or that validation you want to get from them. You want them to tell you you're beautiful because no one was there to tell you. You want someone to tell you, oh, that was a good job that you did. You want people to recognize you, because as humans, we thrive on validation, recognition, love, feeling secure and safe with the people around you. So you find yourself seeking validation in all the wrong places. And this is where you find yourself being codependent on maybe your partner, because you do not feel like you're complete without the validation that comes from the partner. And this is not a good place to be, because you will find yourself looking desperate in people's eyes, and people do not want desperate people, and the ones that want desperate people, they want them for their using. Yeah, this is how you find yourself being mistreated by people, and you cannot leave them because you are codependent on them. You cannot function if they are not giving you that compliment, that love. You cannot leave that relationship, because without it, you don't feel whole. The only solution to this is to love yourself and know that you are worthy of love, and you do not need to depend on anyone's validation to function, because it was not your fault that you were neglected or was not loved as a kid. It was not your fault. And now, because it happened, there's nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is to love ourselves and to know that we are worthy of everything and every good thing in this world. That is the only solution. External validation is never enough. It will never be enough, because people are cruel. They will use you because they know you can't live. or you need them. The only love that is enough and the only validation that is enough is the one that comes from you. So love yourself. Know that you are worthy of love. And there is nothing or no one that can give you enough validation like you can give yourself. Love yourself, please. So there's so much to say when it comes to childhood trauma, but for today, my video has to come to an end. And it is my hope that you have learned and picked something from the topic. And this being my first video, I'm looking forward to your comments and feedback. Let me know where I can improve so that I can deliver the message well and more effectively. And thank you so much for joining me. I am looking forward to the next video. I hope you are doing so too. Thank you once more for joining me. This is Marianne's Space. Until next time, bye.